Hello, my name is Selma Fuseni with the Roundtable.
And my name is Cody.
And today our guest is mayoral candidate running as a Democrat, Caroline Simmons. Hi, good to have you here.
Thank you, Selma and Claire. Great to be with you, and thanks to the Stanford High Roundtable for hosting me today.
Thank you. So I guess we can jump right into questions.
Okay. So we heard that former President Barack Obama and just recently the Stanford Advocate endorsed you. So congratulations on both of those. What do you think it is about your campaign that prompted them to endorse you as opposed to your opponent?
We were really excited and honored to have those endorsements. And for the Stanford Advocate, while they praise both candidates, they express support for our candidacy because of the values and the priorities that we're running on for the future of Stanford and the goals and clear policies we have to improve our schools, to fix our infrastructure, to make Stanford a brighter place for our kids and future generations. So we were really honored to have that endorsement, and former President Barack Obama's endorsement was really exciting. It was an honor to get to intern for his campaign and then work on his transition team and in his administration. And he's really been an inspiration to me in my career, and he has inspired a number of young leaders to get involved in public service. So we were really honored to have his support as well.
All right, okay. For our next question. You've expressed that as part of your campaign plan, you'd push for better mental health resources for both students and faculty. You also mentioned that you'd provide citywide accessibility to pre-K. Can you just tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. So mental health is so important for everyone, no matter how old you are. So many people are struggling right now, especially with what we've just been through amidst this pandemic. People were facing social isolation and stressors and anxiety. And we know, especially for students, it's such a hard time to be growing up with social media and all the pressures of school. Many students, even prior to the pandemic, were facing anxiety and stress at school, and that's only increased. And so as mayor, I want to do everything I can to help support our students and our teachers to get better mental health resources in our schools, including more support for guidance counselors and our social workers. I think there's also a lot we could do with technology, utilizing mental health apps and creating a dialogue with students on how people are feeling, better integrating social and emotional curriculum, because we know that it's all connected. It's hard to focus on a test or do well in school if you're feeling down or depressed. So I want to make sure that we're making that a focus. And one goal is to launch a Stanford Happiness Initiative too, from the government level, to really measure the level of happiness among residents. I think that's one of our jobs in government, is to try to make people happy and improve people's lives. And we so rarely test or measure for that, whereas a lot of other countries around the world are starting to do that. So that's another goal. And then with respect to universal pre-K, this is something that I'm really passionate about. We know that the early childhood period between 0 to 5, there's rapid brain development and growth happening, and ensuring that every student has access to pre-K will not only reduce the inequities we see in our education system, but it will help ensure that all kindergarten students are starting off on the right track, prepared, and that they're not falling behind on literacy and math and other key metrics. So this is something I want to advance, and I think we're at an opportune moment right now with the federal funding coming down. There's going to be funding for childcare and early childhood education that we can take advantage of for our city.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then, as you know, Stanford is an incredibly diverse community. Do you have any plans for addressing racial equality in Stanford Public Schools and for making sure that every student has the same opportunities?
Yes, really important question, and we need to do everything we can to make our city a more inclusive and equitable place and to reduce the racial inequities that we see in our community. I think if you look at this past year amidst COVID, it really exacerbated a number of the inequities and injustices that existed that we already knew about, whether it was in our housing system, our criminal justice system, our education system. If you look at the unfair statistics about African Americans dying at a higher rate from COVID than white people, if you look at higher unemployment rates or higher housing insecurity and food insecurity, these are injustices that we have to rectify and do something about. So first and foremost, we are, for the first time, going to be hiring at the city level a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, which is an important first step in that role will be responsible for supporting racial equity goals across our city, including in our schools, working with the Board of Education. But that's only a first start. I think we really need to embed racial equity into everything we do, and to really look at the metrics and look at where there's inequities, because if we can't call out where there's injustice, we can't fix it. So looking at, at the achievement gap, or looking at unequal suspension rates in schools, things like that, we need to do a better job of calling out the injustices and advancing policies to fix them. And then finally, I want to do everything I can to build a diverse cabinet if I win on Tuesday, to make sure we have a cabinet that looks like our city. I think our diversity is one of our greatest strengths in Stanford. The fact that we have people that speak 65 different languages and come from all over the world. It's such an incredibly enriching place to live, and in our school system, it's such an asset. And I think we need to do a better job of celebrating our diversity and making Stanford a more inclusive and welcoming place so everyone feels heard. And so part of that too is making sure we're communicating city resources in all different languages, and making sure people know how to get involved and that their voice matters, and that we're listening to everyone in our community.
Thank you. So for our next question, it's safe to say that the biggest issue facing our school system over the last 2 years has been the coronavirus pandemic. We'd like to get your thoughts on the two issues related to that being masks and vaccines. Currently, teachers are required to be vaccinated or submit weekly testing, and both students and teachers are required to wear masks in a majority of situations. It also looks as if children as young as 5 will be able to get vaccinated in the near future. In light of that, we'd like to know your position on the mask mandates, and separately, your position on the vaccine mandates for Stanford Public Schools.
Sure. So with respect to the mask mandates, the good news is everyone has been doing such a good job with wearing masks and being diligent to help stop the spread of COVID that the mayor just lifted the indoor mask mandate last night, or 2 nights ago, because the transmission rate has dropped from intermediate to moderate. And so I want to just give credit to all of you students and teachers and everyone in our community who have sacrificed so much over the past year and a half. And I know that everyone is tired of wearing masks, but it really has been so effective in helping to stop the spread of COVID and to reduce the transmission rate in our community, and also to help those who are most vulnerable, those with underlying conditions, those who are immunocompromised, those who can't get vaccinated. So I really want to give credit to our community. As mayor, I'm going to continue to follow the data and science in terms of what the CDC is saying, what our Connecticut Department of Public Health is saying, and what our Stanford Health Director is saying, and make sure we're monitoring any variants and the level of spread when determining whether to reinstate mask mandates. I think right now I agree with the mayor's decision. If you look at our transmission rate has dropped. But I want to encourage everyone to still, practice social distancing, hygiene, and to be cautious. With respect to vaccines, I do support the governor issued an executive order and an emergency authority allowing towns and cities to decide whether to impose vaccine requirements for public employees. I supported the mayor's decision to require that our municipal employees and teachers get vaccinated, because it's not only to protect their own health, it's to protect, they're interacting with the public and with students who are unvaccinated. So it's to protect everyone's health, because we know if you're unvaccinated, you're 11 times more likely to die from COVID. So, and then of course, if they choose not to, they can submit to weekly testing. And I really give credit to our municipal employees and teachers. I think we're almost at about 85% are vaccinated, and we'll work to continue to get as many as we can who are willing to.
And just to clarify, is that how you feel for students too in school, that they should be vaccinated? Or
Thank you for that follow-up question. Yeah, with respect to students, I think we need to continue to have that conversation, work with our Board of Education, and follow CDC data and science on that. At this point, it's not a mandate, but it's recommended. So we're encouraging everyone that is eligible to get vaccinated. But at this point, it's not a mandate, but we can certainly continue to have that conversation.
Thank you. And then your opponent, Bobby Valentine, often criticizes you for being from Greenwich, and questions your ability to connect with citizens of Stanford. Is there anything you'd like to say in response to that criticism?
Sure. I think what I'll say is I love this city. I've been so honored to get to serve as state representative for the past 7 years, advocating for the people of Stanford in the legislature, and I'm proud to be raising my 2 sons here. And I love this city, and I'm proud that we're living here. I think his comments are offensive, not only to me, but to hundreds of families that move to our city, that choose to live here and raise their kids here, to our immigrant population, to 35% of our population that's foreign born. I mean, his repeated refrain is that if you're not born here, you're not worthy to pursue your dreams here and contribute to our city. And I think it's a divisive message. We're a modern 21st century city made up of people from all over the world. And as mayor, I want to be a more unifying, positive leader that's welcoming people from all different backgrounds. And I think it's important what leaders say, because people are listening to that language. And we need leaders right now who are full of positivity, lifting people up, welcoming and inclusive, because people are struggling right now. People have serious issues, and we need to help people who are struggling and help move our city forward and come out of this pandemic.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mrs. Simmons. And before you go, is there anything else you'd like your voters to know regarding your plans for Stanford Public Schools?
Sure. I'll just say it's great to be at Stanford High. Thank you so much for this excellent interview. It's amazing to see such smart students engaged, caring about journalism and news and public service. So I really want to credit you all for being so engaged. You are our future, and you give me hope for our future. If there's anything I can ever do as mayor to better support you as students or teachers in your school, I would love to keep an open dialogue. I want to be a champion for our public schools and do everything we can to get more funding and resources and support, so that you can all get the best education, have the best facilities, and get the best resources that you all deserve. And just thanks again for having me. It's great to be at Stanford High with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.